It happened in the small town where I grew up, a place where everyone knew everyone else and secrets were a rarity. My name's Jamie, and I've never been one for superstitions or ghost stories. But what occurred that summer night forever changed the way I viewed the world. It was the kind of evening where the air hung heavy, and the shadows played tricks on your eyes. The town was quiet, with only the occasional rustle of leaves disturbing the silence. I was walking home from a friend's house, taking the shortcut through the woods that I'd traversed countless times before. As I strolled beneath the dense canopy of trees, a feeling of unease settled over me. I shook it off, attributing it to the darkness and my imagination playing games. However, as I turned a bend in the path, I saw something that made my heart race. There, standing in the middle of the trail, was a figure obscured by the shadows. My breath caught in my throat as I strained to make out who it was. It was a man, his face hidden in the darkness. I called out, but he remained silent, unmoving. My instinct screamed at me to turn back, to find another way home, but something held me in place. Fear and curiosity danced within me, locking me in a chilling limbo. The man finally spoke, his voice low and unsettling. He mentioned a debt that had to be repaid, and he pointed to a nearby house. It was old and weathered, a relic from the town's past. As he spoke, my eyes were drawn to a dim light in one of the windows. That house belonged to the Johnsons, a family that had lived there for generations. The guy disappeared into the dark and I was left all by myself, not sure if I should believe what just happened or feel some weird fear. I couldn't help it, so I went closer to the Johnsons' house, and what I saw inside will never leave my mind. In there, I found the Johnson family looking super scared. They were all tied up, faces showing how terrified they were. Some people with masks and weapons were there, asking for something the family said they didn't have. The room got really tense and things got worse fast. In the chaos that followed, a gunshot echoed through the house, leaving one of the family members wounded. The intruders fled into the night, leaving behind a shattered family and a town gripped by fear. I called for help, but the damage was done. The Johnsons were forever changed, and the safety of our town was shattered. That night, as I walked away from the horrors I'd witnessed, the weight of the real-life nightmare pressed heavy on my shoulders. The incident was never forgotten, a stain on the town's history that couldn't be washed away. Darkness clung to the edges of Crofton, a small town where everyone knew everyone else's business. The only break in the monotony was the annual fair, and that year, it became etched in my memory for all the wrong reasons. I remember the crisp fall air, the scent of caramel popcorn and fried dough wafting through the chilly night. It was a Saturday, and the fair was in full swing. I was with my friends, laughing and indulging in the simple pleasures of carnival games and cotton candy. But as the night wore on, a whisper circulated through the crowd, a dark undercurrent beneath the festive atmosphere. Someone had gone missing. The missing person was Lisa Turner, a sweet and quiet girl from our high school. As the news spread, a tangible unease settled over the fairgrounds. The blinking lights and cheerful music felt out of place as we realized that a shadow lurked within our seemingly serene town. I remember the search party that formed, flashlights cutting through the inky blackness as we combed the woods surrounding Crofton. The air was thick with tension, each step accompanied by an ominous rustling of leaves. It wasn't long before we stumbled upon Lisa's abandoned jacket near a rundown shed at the edge of town. The shed, hidden in the shadows, became the epicenter of our fear. We approached it cautiously, our collective breaths visible in the cold air. With a collective gulp, we pushed open the creaking door, revealing a scene that still haunts my dreams. There, in the dim light, we found Lisa. She was curled up on the floor, eyes wide with terror. The cold air seemed to suck the warmth from the room as we took in the sight of her pale, bruised face. The horror painted across her expression mirrored the fear that now gripped us all. As we helped Lisa to her feet, she whispered of a man, a stranger who had emerged from the shadows, his face obscured by darkness. He had cornered her, his intentions clear and sinister. Lisa fought, her screams muffled by the desolate night, but he overpowered her. The man vanished as quickly as he had come, leaving Lisa battered and broken. The realization that such darkness could exist in our small town left a scar on our collective consciousness. The incident cast a long shadow over Crofton, forever changing the way we looked at our quaint surroundings. The fair, once a symbol of joy, became a haunting reminder that evil could lurk where you least expect it, and to this day, the memory of that night serves as a chilling cautionary tale, a stark reminder that even in the most ordinary places, darkness can seep through the cracks. It's been years since that night, but the memories of Elmridge still haunt my dreams. I'm Maggie, and I'm sharing this because sometimes the things you least expect can turn a quiet town into a living nightmare. Elmridge had always been a place where everyone knew everyone else, a place where doors remained unlocked and folks left their keys in the ignition when they popped into the grocery store. But all that changed in the winter of 2008. The snow fell heavy that year, covering the town in a thick blanket of white. The air was still, and the only sound was the crunch of snow under your feet. It was in that eerie quietness that whispers started circulating about strange happenings in the woods. One evening, a group of us decided to investigate. Curiosity got the better of us, and we trudged through knee-deep snow, guided by the fading light of the day. The woods felt different, as if the trees were holding their breath, waiting for something. We stumbled upon an old abandoned cabin, its windows boarded up and the door hanging from one hinge. Something drew us inside despite the biting cold that seeped through the cracks. The air was stale, like it hadn't been breathed in years. As we explored, we found a small room in the back. The walls were covered in strange symbols, drawn hastily in what looked like blood. The air thickened with a sense of unease. That's when we heard it, a low, guttural growl from the darkness. Panic set in as we fumbled for our flashlights, scanning the shadows. And then it emerged, a creature, hunched and twisted, with eyes that gleamed like coals in the dark. It moved with an unnatural grace, its movements sending shivers down our spines. We ran, but the woods seemed to close in around us. Branches grabbed at our clothes, and the snow beneath our feet became an obstacle, slowing us down. That's when it struck, slashing through the darkness, leaving one of us screaming in pain. We didn't look back until we reached the edge of the woods. The creature, whatever it was, remained hidden in the shadows. We carried our injured friend back to town, but Elmridge was never the same. The incident was hushed up, labeled as a wild animal attack, but those who were there knew the truth. Elmridge had a secret, one that lurked in the depths of the woods, waiting for the curious souls who dared to venture too close.